Village Council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Van Portfleet.
Here.
President Pro Tem Matheson.
Here.
Councilmember Churchill.
Here.
Councilmember Hammond.
Here.
Councilmember Hobbs.
Here.
Councilmember Randall. Councilmember Rutt.
Here.
President Van Portfleet, we have a quorum. We had prior notice from Councilmember Randall that he would not be here tonight and that he requested to be excused.
Thank you very much. Item 4, call to the public. We invite any member of the public to discuss a non-agenda item. Anybody would like to? Yes, sir, Mr. Ray. I did not get your last name, sir.
Blankenberg.
Step up to the podium, if you will, please, Mr. Blankenberger.
My name is Roy Blankenberg. I live at 725 Meriday, which is in the township. I'm here to inquire about the garbage pickup. I lost with the other one went out of business, and I pay village water here, and trying to find out if it's possible to have your refuse pickup, which you have one, I believe. You don't have 12 trucks running up and down your streets. If biggest lower industry, if that could be a garbage pickup put on my water bill and use the same pickup with, I don't know how many people you have that have village water that's outside of the village. I don't know that. Right. Whether you got 50, whether you got 150, 200. But one street at a time, they do the whole street down there. We got to get everybody together if we go that route. That's the only thing. But finding out whether you can get a yay or a nay to possibly have the refuse picked up by the same outfit that does yours and put on the water bill for the people that I have to come up here every quarter anyway, pay my water bill to see Joe. Otherwise, I don't get in here.
So, sir, you live in the township, correct?
Yes.
Joe, are we allowed to assist with that? That's not our jurisdiction. Is it not a service offered by the tax?
The only thing we have is water. Now, I am billed for the water. I come up here, my water bill goes to the village.
Right. No, I understand, sir.
I talked to Roy earlier today and said that he would need to get the township also to...
I'm sorry, Joe.
I'm sorry. Am I here? I said that you'd also need to get the township to agree to that arrangement because I think they're in the process of considering bidding out their rubbish possibly. So you need to coordinate it with the government entities, but also the residents would have to agree.
No, I understand also that the township board can vote who they want to pick up the refuse. They can yay or nay it. They can also put it on the ballot of any election coming up, and the people in the township would vote on it, where you got 3 to vote for. I may want him, I may want them, I may want you to pick it up. But it would, for the few people, I'm not sure, Joe, how many we got. Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Sorry about that.
That's all right, Roy.
I'm not sure how many are on board paying their water bill here, paying the village for the water, but sure make it nice.
Right. I don't know, sir. We'll do some due diligence.
I'll be calling the people tomorrow.
Yeah.
And finding out.
I'm going to assume not, but we'll do our diligence and take a look and ask the questions. And get back to you.
You got to ask questions to find out, and that's why I don't normally stand up here and do this, but that's all I got. Just my neighbor's up here to find out about it too. Evidently, there's a lot of people on Meriday Street that aren't interested in it. So we're the only ones here. My next door neighbor, they're still in Florida yet. Good idea. One more snowstorm coming. But anyway, any information that can come down the pike that would put it all on one check and say, here you are. Yeah, I think most of the people that have Lake Orion water and the garbage pickup are the same people would be happy about it.
Right.
Because I think you'll find out that the same outfit also collects out there where they're at.
Right.
But not everybody knows that. Put it on the bill. Put it on the bill. Pay it one check. Time to be done with it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Young, do we have Mr. Blackenbur's address and contact information?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good.
Let me make sure I leave it with Susan. Did you sign in?
No.
You can sign
I
in.
will on the way out.
Okay.
By the way, I'm not in a... I can't get a... That's another subject. I can't get a phone book for the area. No, you can't.
I hear you. Thank you, sir. Make sure you sign in at that sign-in sheet on your way out so that we get your address. We greatly appreciate that.
We'll do that on the way out.
Anyone else? There's also another opportunity for call to public at the end of this meeting. I just wanted to mention that in case something comes up during the meeting that you'd like to readdress.
I know we have a couple people. Did you want to speak at this time? No, that's it. You're not?
We'll close.
Did you? Okay. All right.
We'll close call to public. We'll move on.
Very
Okay.
good. Very good.
There'll be another opportunity. Consent agenda, item 5.
Move to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Support.
On this evening's consent agenda, we have 12 items. Number 1 is Downtown Development Authority Board resignation. Jordan Knudsen, with our regrets. We thank him. He's a very valued member. Number 2, Downtown Development Authority Board appointment, Dr. Sam Caruso, which we're very excited about. Good guy, good background. He used to be on that board years ago. Item number 3, appoint Rosemary Ford to a 2-year term on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, term to expire March 31st, 2019. That's expiring, so he's reappointed. Item 4, Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee requests. Item 5, approval of Village Council regular meeting minutes for March 11th. Item 6, March 28th. Item 7, March 5th. Item 8, March 14th. And item 9, March 18th. All Village Council special meeting minutes. We've been busy. Item 10, Public Works Director Monthly Report. Item 11, DDA Executive Director Report, February 2019. Item 12, Downtown Development Authority meeting minutes from February 12, 2019. All those in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item 6, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve tonight's agenda.
Support. All those no changes, no adjustments. All those in favor, please indicate with aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Presentations, there are none. Item 8, public hearings, there are none. 9, agenda item for consideration, financial matters, invoice register and bill approval. Mr. Young.
Yes, Council, before you, you have bills that were paid on March 19th in the amount of $30,044.17, and an invoice register dated March 21st in the amount of $131,910.57. I have the bills here if you have any questions on any item. Otherwise, a motion to approve the payment and invoice is in order.
Move to approve the bills paid March 19th in the amount of $30,044.17 and to approve payment of the March 21st, 2019 invoice register report in the amount of $131,910.57.
Support. Discussion, challenges, questions. All those in favor, please indicate with aye.
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Roll call.
Churchill.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Rutt. Yes. Van Portfleet.
Yes.
Hobbs.
Yes.
Matheson.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Item B, other items. Item 1, property split and authorization for sale of land. Mr. Young?
Yes, Council, before you have a proposal from the developer at CS Capital, who's building the 5-story building and has proposed expanding the parking lot on property currently owned by the village, and is asking consideration to split off a portion of that property, approximately 14,000 square feet, that could then add 12 additional parking spaces to his existing 36-place parking lot. In order to consider that, we would need to have authorization to split off the property, that parcel, have an appraised value, determine the fair market value, and then we would have to post it go through the public bid process. And so this evening, we're asking your consideration to proceed with that process of the lot split, which would involve a survey and a legal description. And then we would get a fair market value, which we've got a preliminary from the county on, and then also then from there publicly bid out the sale of this parcel. I can go into more details if you'd like.
What's that?
I could go into more details. I don't know what questions you might have.
Yeah, I have a question. The lower half, on that split, the lower half is the half that's south of Flint Street, right?
It's the lower piece is by the creek.
Or
From Front Street, if you're
Front Street.
South.
Front Street.
Right.
South.
Correct.
Which goes down to where the dam is.
Yes.
Okay.
Just
During the road
before the
construction,
dam, though.
MDOT is considering widening the road there. So they're going to take an extra 10 feet off there, correct?
No, they are not widening the road right away. They have right away, but this is outside the right away.
Well, I'm looking at the drawing here, and I thought they're widening the pedestrian walk there.
Oh, the walkway they are.
Okay.
7 feet. The sidewalk
Approach
is.
on that.
But they're narrowing the lanes. And they're going to have a center median lane.
Okay.
They're going to,
All right.
they're going to narrow the lanes as part of an effort to slow traffic more.
Correct.
And that will give a little bit of additional room on both sides of the bridge to increase safety, especially where you cross by the bridge railings. It's very narrow there. If you're on a bike and if you were to tip, you're going to get hit by a car. And so they're going to increase that. I don't think it's 7 feet up to
Both
7
sides.
feet. Right now, it's roughly 3.5. They'll
Around
pick up
4 feet. And then
They'll
on
pick
the
up an
side.
extra 3 feet on each side.
East side.
Right.
Yes, by narrowing the lanes and narrowing the center median.
Okay, and the center
Right, but
median.
that center lane is only maybe 8 feet, so.
Right now, it's
eliminated
10 or
altogether.
11 right now.
What?
Right now, it's 10 or 11. The
center lane?
Right now it is. It's a full turn lane.
Right.
We're going to narrow it to a median.
All right. I thought they were going out 7 to 10 feet on each side. For the pedestrian walk. Okay.
Nope.
So that answers my question.
Mr. Young, I have a question. In this statement here, it says that it would improve by up to 12 spaces or provide 12 spaces.
Yes.
This
Additional layout.
Yeah. So is it 12 spaces on a new property or 8 on a new property plus 4 on their property because they get to lay it back out?
There's 7 on the village property, and because they'll be able to add 5 on their existing property because they have an aisleway to extend it.
Okay. All right.
And those are straight-in spots to the south, right?
Yeah.
And then to the north of Front Street is all angle parking?
Well, if the north to front, we're not addressing at this time.
Okay.
Also, up where it goes by AutoZone, you're not addressing that right
No,
now?
no, right.
Okay, because I had questions about that.
Yeah, we're still working on addressing that possibility.
Yeah, I had questions about traffic, coming in and out of the AutoZone parking lot and what the impact would be there.
Yeah, this is not the item before us. This stands on its own, adding 12 spaces to that parking area, not affecting anything north of Front Street.
authorized to proceed with the property being split and determine the fair market value and proceed with the public bid process, subject to property split and fair market value being determined and subject to review by our village attorney.
Support.
Further discussion? This has a lot of work to it yet, and MDOT hasn't been contacted yet about this as well, correct?
No.
So, right, so a lot of work yet to do on this. All those in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2, cemetery equipment purchase request. Mr. Young.
Yes, Council, we have a request for you. Jeremy Richard, our DPW Director, is here this evening. I'll have him speak to the items we're looking to replace.
We are looking to replace the present tent that we have out there. It is 16 years old, and the actual tarp part of it has several tears in it. And the new top is $1,500. A new tent is just over $1,900, and we'll get a whole new frame, which the frame we've made several repairs on. It's okay, but the $400 extra to get a whole new frame is definitely well worth it. And then also the lowering stand has beyond its days. It is also 16 years old, and it's been broken many, many times. We've kind of doctored it to get it by. New one of those is $540. And then with the new stand, we would need the new drape to go around it, the green drape. So total is $29.88 for all of the purchases.
Chairman, is there a way to, what are you going to do with the old stuff?
The old stuff, I don't know.
Repurpose that, or
I don't know what we could possibly do with it, to be honest with you.
put it up for,
Put it in a surplus auction.
We would try to put it in a surplus auction. The nice thing about the new tent also, the tent now we have takes 2 guys to set up. The new one is a one-man tent. One man can set it up if need be. So that's another positive to that one, too.
We'll make the motion to approve the cemetery equipment purchase from Holland Supply for amount not to exceed $29.88, and authorize the village manager to sign the contract subject to review by the village attorney.
Support.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Do you ever get to where you have to set up for two funerals? Maybe use the old one too? Or?
We've had to set up for 2 funerals, but the setup, a full setup with a tent, in the 7 years I've been here, I think we might have done 2. And generally, they're with a couple hours apart anyways, the way that they'll schedule them, so we're always able to move the tent. So we've never ran into that issue so far.
Maybe
But
just keep the other one for a backup.
keep it for a backup
Yeah.
if need be, yes. I like that idea, actually.
I only have a comment. I'd like to see the repair cost estimate included in the packet in the future. I see it written down, but I'd like to see the actual, whoever we went out and asked for.
Oh, the quote? Okay.
Yeah, the quotation, please.
Absolutely. It was through Holland Supply, because that's where the tent was purchased.
Okay, I just
So-
didn't see it in there.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, comments? We have a motion on the floor, support. All those in favor, please indicate with aye. Aye. Opposed?
Isn't it roll call?
Oh, sorry, roll call.
That's okay. Sorry about that.
I keep
Rutt?
doing that.
Yes. Van Portley?
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
Hobbs?
Yes.
Matheson?
Yes.
Churchill?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Item 3, cemetery signs. Mr. Young.
Yes, Council, bringing back for your consideration cemetery signs. At the previous council meeting, we awarded it to a contractor that had bid an alternate to the 1/2-inch PVC, and the motion was to go back and ask for a 1/2-inch quote, and if it was under $3,000, to go ahead and authorize it. Otherwise, bring it, go to the next bidder. But I did go back, and the bid came in at $4,000, and so it went up significantly. And in the meantime, we do have 2 bids that did meet the 1/2-inch PVC specification. One of them was a revised bid from M&V Graphics, where on page 84 shows that they initially had bid $3,190, And now they've revised their bid to $2,800 with an option of another $100, but for added strength. But and we also had a bid from LW Design of $2,720 with installation was $2,910, and those were half-inch PVC as spec. So M&B Graphics has the low bid, and at $2,800, we wouldn't need that extra $100. That's for 100-mile-an-hour winds. I don't think we need to worry about 100-mile-an-hour winds. So I'm recommending council to authorize the cemetery signs to M&B Graphics in the amount of $2,800.
Proposed to authorize the cemetery signage as presented.
I'll support. Discussion. Roll call.
Churchill.
Yes.
Hobbs.
Yes.
Matheson.
Yes.
Rutt. Yes. Van Portfley.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Joe, does that $100 dip in both sides?
Both sides.
I'd almost be inclined to spend that money.
The
Thought. You guys can think about it, but
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're talking about the $100 for extra strength? Yeah.
storm damage and whatnot, seems like a bargain now.
Well,
Sounds pretty good.
Pardon?
I can verify it with
Okay,
them.
it's up to you.
When I asked the contractor, he said, "Do we really need it?" I said, "No, it's just if you wanted it."
Okay,
So,
right.
but
thank you.
Thank you. Item 4, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 12.08 amendment, Parks and Recreation Ordinance, Greens Park. Mr. Young.
yes, council, before you is introduction, first reading ordinance amendment that is recommended by the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee that would currently the rules for Greens Park are in the ordinance and that deals with kayaking, paddleboarding, and other things, and recommending council to change that ordinance provision so that it would be that it's by council resolution that those rules and regulations are established, which is the case for all the other parks. Greens Park, for some reason, was in as an ordinance, the hours, and so we're asking, recommending council to consider changing the ordinance because the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee also is looking to allow kayak and paddleboard rentals during the day. Time before it was before 11 o'clock and after 7 p.m. After talking with the contractor and the arrangements that they're considering, the noon to 7 is the peak time to consider rentals for people wanting to learn. And there was understanding as to where they would be actually traversing on the south side, and how they would be on vests, color vests, and they would have a flag indicating that they're newbies learning. And it's something we felt could be helpful to attract more people to the park, including young people and old people. So this introduction ordinance is just eliminating from the ordinance the rules and then allowing it to be set by council by resolution, which we would come back to you as we do every year with the new items for council consideration, such as the board also recommended that the admission fee be $1 per person this year rather than $1 per family as it was last year, for example. So this is just introduction, first reading with the second reading and adoption scheduled for April 22nd. So we'd have this in place before the May opening.
Okay. I'd like to make a quick comment, if I could, on the ordinance, item C, group activities. You had just mentioned, Mr. Young, that it would be $1 per person.
Yes.
And right here it says, the use of Greens Park by a group of more than 10 persons that are not immediate family members of one another. I think that still puts us in a gray area, like how do you tell if they're family members? Because I've heard stories about people saying, it's my family, it's my family, it's my family, it's my family. And you just mentioned $1 per person, so I'm not sure why that's in there. Should that not be struck?
We can address that and bring it back at the second reading.
or approve it with that as a change.
Yeah, we can do
Right.
that. For first reading and introduction and first reading, if you'd like. Right? So they could strike that if they wanted to.
So are you saying to not have group rental, like, or just take out the immediate family members? Clarify.
Whatever is the pleasure of the Parks and Rec and the council, but I think it's hard to have people prove that they're family members, or if somebody would go down there and say, like, Chief Narsh, hey, is this all your family? Well, yeah, it's all our family. And how do you figure that one out? And then the information that Mr. Young had relayed, and I've heard before, is just $1 per person. Yeah, so taking both out would be my thoughts, but it's $1 per person. No group rate, no need to prove who's family.
Well, one of the things about reserving the park is that if we needed to have more lifeguards, so that's why we asked them to, quote, reserve the park, and then, because we have to bring in an extra lifeguard, we would charge them accordingly. Because there's a group
I
fee.
see. This is
There's a group fee.
addressing the actual charge. This is just 10 people.
The criteria.
Very good. I'm clear. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Good. Looking for a motion.
Move to approve for introduction and first reading the amendment to the Parks and Recreation Ordinance number 12.08 as presented and schedule a public hearing on April 22nd, 2019 at 7:30 p.m. for second reading and adoption.
Support.
Question?
Yes, sir. Churchill.
Answer this for me.
Yeah.
Well, under rules and regulations, we're opening this up for pretty much everything. Swimming, kayaking, canoeing, paddleboarding, fishing, fires. The only thing on here, the last thing is, scuba diving must first obtain a scuba diving permit. I didn't know that we had a special permit for scuba
We do.
divers.
We do. I've never heard of anyone getting one.
No.
Do we charge for that? Or
No.
what do we accomplish by it?
It's knowing that they're there and they are certified and they know what they're doing.
So do you check their certifications and
Yes.
stuff?
Yes.
You
Yes.
say you're not going to see them.
If they want to go off from Greens Park, they need to
Okay, just curious.
verify.
All right.
If we charge for them, we could have a fee for the scuba diving thing and say there's a lost treasure ship in the lake. It makes fun.
That's all I have.
Quarters out there, Doug?
I've never seen that before.
It's been there all along.
It
It's been
has.
a long time.
Okay. We have a motion to support. All those in favor, please indicate by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir. Moving on, going back to call to the public.
Oh, but we got item number 5, the grant.
Sorry. TEDF grant application resurface sections of Lapeer and Atwater Streets.
Yes,
Mr. Young.
Council, the state of Michigan has a new grant program under the Transportation and Economic Development Fund, where they criteria for it is that it's for communities less than 10,000 population, which we are, and therefore we qualify for this. It's a grant maximum of $250,000 with a 50-50 match, which means we'd have to spend the minimum of $250 to get to $250. And what we've done is taken the two lowest rated streets, major streets we have, which is Lapeer Street between Flint and Church, those 3 blocks or so, about 865 feet. And then Atwater from M24 to either Perry or Norland, that's around 1,600 or 2,000 lineal feet. Our engineers came up with cost estimates finalized today for each section, and the total construction for both sections would be approximately $548,000. Because the $250,000 state grant only pays for construction. So if we're going to maximize our grant money, that we're proposing council consider milling and resurfacing 3 inches of surface, doing some base repair as may be necessary, addressing any drainage or sidewalk issues as well. It also does include on Lapeer Street paving along the side for on-street parking. That's included in the estimate. Now, on top of the construction cost of $548, there's engineering costs for design and inspection and observation. And that's another $84,000, which brings the total project cost for both streets to $686,000. The major street fund has about $350,000. The fund balance is proposing that we use $321,000 of the major street fund, leaving some money in there, and that the balance of $115,000 would be shared between the general fund and the Downtown Development Authority at a total of $57,500 each. So this is proposed for consideration, A, to do both streets to maximize the grant of $250,000, using major street money of about $320,000, and then the DDA and village general fund putting in $57,500 for the balance. This grant application is due April 5th. The resolutions of support are not due until April 17th, so the DDA could at their next meeting consider granting and approving their support of the $57,500. As well as the council, they can either do it tonight or you can wait till your April 8th meeting if you want, but we need to get the grant application in before the next meeting. These are just estimates from the engineer. We would have to bid it out. Hopefully they would come in under what we're bidding. They did allow for a cushion. There's a contingency in here of $50,000 too. They allowed for 42 days of observation, which I said, if it was going to take 42 days to pave 2 roads, we need to find some other way to do this. And they said, well, we just left it in case there's any base rebuilding or sidewalk. So it's a high estimate, hopefully, in spite of the fact that asphalt prices have been going up and concrete going up and trucking going up. So we're hoping that they've estimated that we'll come in under this, in which case the savings I'm proposing would go back to the major street fund, that the DDA and the village would put in their $57,500 regardless. The grant mentioned, if we get awarded it, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of people competing for it because it's a competition. So just to touch base, and this is what we're proposing your consideration this evening. If you have any questions.
Who pays for the grant application? Who's going to fill that out, and what's it going to cost?
For the grant itself, the application.
Is that going to be paid for by the DDA, or is that going to be paid for by the...
Well, that's our engineers that would be putting that together. I didn't get a number from. I know the last grant application, they said it would be something under $1,000 to file for the grant. But this one's pretty straightforward. I would hope there's not a lot of, you just fill out the form, here's your information, so it should be less than that.
What is 3 inches of milling and resurfacing going to get?
3 inches?
Don't you usually go 5 or 6 inches?
Not for a mill and resurface. That's reconstruction. You'd go 6 or 4 to 6, but not for milling and resurfacing. Normally you would mill 2 inches or 1.5 inches. Normally 2 inches usually. But this case, because of the condition of the road, particularly Lapeer Street, and the question about is the base, is it good or not? When we get there, we'll see.
I'll think of the condition of both of those roads. Boy, they're deep. They're really badly torn up.
Yeah, now, the one item when I talked to HRC today, we would want to do some soil boring tests to see how thick the existing pavement is already. Because if it's already 6 inches, we're fine. It's whether the base is there. Because milling, will take care of that as long as the base is good.
There's a lot of deep voids in there that are well over 6 to 8 inches.
Which road?
Both. Water and Lapeer.
I can't speak to that. I said it's something we could do the soil borings to find out.
I'm sure you probably have the answer, Jeremy. Those where the voids are. You fill those, and then they mill over those and surface over
what they do is they'll mill up 3 inches. But the first thing they'll do is take the soil borings to see how the surface is underneath, and that'll tell them if it's just the top 3 inches or 4 inches that is the issue, and if it is up to 6 inches to where the road's 6 inches, you got the base below it. As long as the damage is not below that 6 inches, when they mill the 3, the other 3 will fill as they go. See how it, so it fills it and lays 3 new inches on top of that fill as they go.
So if it's damaged under 6,
If
then
it's
what do we do?
damaged under 6, then they'll have to do base repair in those areas only. So what that would consider is cutting out a section, like you see on the expressway a lot. They'll cut out that section and go down to the base in just that section. Maybe a 4-foot section or so.
Right.
Now,
those spots will be minimum compared to what they're able to lay over.
yeah, the estimate that the engineers put together, they were estimating 25% of Lapeer Street would need base repair. And on Atwater, they estimated 10%.
How much?
10.
Which
Because
probably
it
about
should
right
be
near
thicker.
Atwater Commons.
So they're allowing,
That's probably a pretty close estimate, I'd say. If Atwater needs any, it's going to be by Atwater Commons where it is the worst. That's maybe 10%, and that's probably less than 10% of the road.
Yeah, that's really bad down there.
And then Lapeer, that's a whole other story there. I'd say 25% is probably close.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir, Mr. Hammond.
Does the 57.5 come out of our capital improvement surplus line item, or does it come out of the general?
it'd come out of our general fund balance.
Thank you.
Mr. Young, the major streets fund,
Yes.
$350,000. We're not going to deplete it. Take $321,000 out of it. How long does it take us to accumulate that $350,000?
It's been there for quite a few years.
Okay, so
And hopefully, we've been getting increased revenues from the state, so it's been building somewhat. And hopefully we'll get more, of course.
what goes in there every year? 20 grand, 30 grand?
No, it's, the fund balance itself? Approximately
Into the major.
Major Street,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, here's my point. I'd like to see the Downtown Development Authority, or DDA, look at possibly funding a larger portion of the cost. Just a comment. Whether it's 75-25 instead of a 50-50 split, that's my consideration.
Well,
I'll throw that out there because there's still time to negotiate this and figure it all out.
Right.
Right now, we've just got before us as getting in the grant application.
well, the village quote was putting in $300,000 of major street money already. And this proposed
Clarify that,
57.5 was only 8% of the total estimate.
I'm sorry, the village is putting in $300,000 of the Main Street?
Major street fund money.
Oh, yes, okay, right.
Yeah. So,
Right, I'm just saying.
so we could look at like 100,000 from the DDAs? Or some,
More the better, in my,
a percentage or a dollar amount, so we know what to negotiate with them
that'd be
or
good.
propose?
I read the criteria for the grant application.
Yes.
It said if it has additional qualifiers like infrastructure, like water, sewer that needs to be improved, that heightens the probability of getting the grant money.
All right.
Do we have any of that scheduled to happen in that area?
Not, this project is not on our water capital improvement plan.
Didn't think so, but it's a question.
No, that's a good point. Very good.
The Category B program was all the data I saw. There was a Category D mentioned. Do we have that criteria as well?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I would like to be able to examine that at another time if we can get it.
Oh, yes, we will. I do know that there's money for this year and next year, though, so
Okay.
whether it happens this year or not, we don't know.
Okay, good. And then in the final page of the resolution, the actual
Yes.
document itself,
Yes.
there's a typo
Okay.
where it says present absent. The second paragraph after that, last line, resurface on sections of Lapeer Ant Atwater.
Oh, yes. Ants.
You might
Very
correct
good
that,
catch.
sir.
Thank you.
That's it.
Very good.
So we still don't have a motion on the floor, correct?
I move to adopt a resolution to establish a request for funding for the Transportation Economic Development Fund Category B grant program as presented.
I'll support the motion.
Any other comments, questions? Roll call? Do you want roll call on this?
We can, if you'd
It's up
like.
to you. Not necessary. though.
Not necessary.
All those in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's passed. All right, now we can go back to call to the public. Anyone like to address council on call to the public this evening? Good evening, sir. Please state your name and address.
Sure. Chris Costas. I'm at 587 West Point Court. I bought the cottage last summer. It's not my main residence, but it's a cottage. And there's been some discussion about parking there, among other things. So I'd like to address, first off, hopefully get some clarification on parking at the top of West Point. There's an open area that is available to park, and it says that you can park there 23 of 24 hours. So my suggestion and my point of clarification for those residents, I'm down on the peninsula there, so we have to park and walk down the path. So I would like to see those that have a house down there, there's only a couple of us, that we have our own parking spot, that it's not just available to the public and whoever. And also that the issue of, I know last year there were some neighbors who took issue with some of the people parking there, and the police came by and marked our tires type of thing. So a little bit of, call it harassment to the issue of parking. So I would like to see those that have a place there to have our own parking spot, for one, and two, maybe a little bit of clarification of what you're trying to do there, as far as, with parking. Because, as you all know, many of us have golf carts and have to, go down the hill, and I know there's been some issues of, some of the neighbors with, the golf carts and have an issue with golf carts because based on, Michigan law, you can have a golf cart, from what I understand, and it's up to, if you guys want to do something different, you can take that up. But that's my point here, and that's what I'd like to present you to consider.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Council. I'm Jeff Schloff, owner of 244 West Point, new owner, purchased in December. I purchased it with short and long-term intent. Short-term intent was I was planning on short-term rental, and then long-term it was going to be a retirement-type cottage for me. I'll go live in Florida in the winter, like I see a lot of people do, and then come up here in the summers. So I just got involved with the Lake Orion community here. I live on the other side of the lake, the village. I live on the other side of the lake, off of Indianwood, 650 Fernhurst. And my point in talking to you today is I'm really jumping into the regulations, the short-term rental regulations that I just got a hold of. And I think they're excellent. I think, creating a standard for short-term rental is a wise decision. There definitely is, there's some items that you want to take in consideration before this ordinance goes live, though, such as existing contracts that we have in 2019 already. People have actually transacted money for 2019 to some of the short-term rentals. So there's just a couple of things that we want to take in consideration as we kind of move forward to this new standard. That's all I needed to say.
Great. Thank you for coming. Make sure you forward, you said some additional information to our village manager.
So I already have.
So it can be shared out.
I already
yes,
have.
Because it is under review.
Excellent.
Absolutely so.
Yeah, no, I think it's great to set the standard. You know, there's a lot of other communities that are trying to do the same thing. This is not a new phenomenon. However, it's really front page news with Airbnb and VRBO. You know, those different mediums are kind of making it you know, more in your face kind of thing, which I completely understand. We want to keep everybody safe. Quality of the event, both for the owner, for the guest, and also the neighbors. It's just there's some finite details that need to be really considered, though.
Right. So, a quick question: short-term rental. Are you looking for 1, 2, 3 nights, or by the week, or the month?
So, if you're interested, I mean, you can rent a year, a month, 2, 3 days, 1 day,
I know,
and I might offer a discount to the president.
Any term.
So yeah, so all kidding aside, I mean, the way I have listed, and this is not my only short-term rental. The model I've got, my other rentals is minimum of 2-day stay. What I do notice here in Lake Orion is that they are longer stays. People want to stay for a week and 30 days here, rather than just kind of turning and burning. For example, out in a few of my other rentals. And they're a little bit more family-oriented stays based upon the feedback and information that I've gotten. And again, you know, before this ordinance, you know, I've already got 15 bookings. So to roll out the ordinance, and I've already exchanged money, and, you know, I know we're talking about rolling it out 2019, so just a few things to consider for me individually, and also, you know, the group behind me I know all have vested interest in short-term rentals.
Okay.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll close call to the public, and we'll move on to council comments. Mr. Matheson, sir.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Hobbs.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Churchill.
I am all set.
Ms. Rudd.
What's that?
Mr. Hammond. Okay. I've got a couple of quick things. Mr. Young.
Yes.
Emails, when we're utilizing emails, I meant to ask you this, but I needed to really have a consensus here. The current server that we're using, I think it's slow. Does anybody else have that experience, or is it me? Like when I go to open an attachment, it can be 45 seconds to a minute, minute and a half. And I'm just not sure if it's mail enable or our IT right or what. But nobody else experiencing that? Okay. Just 2 of us out of 6. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Well, IT Right is here this week installing new computers, so I will get with them first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay. I'd like to ask the council, additional item, to get the village manager reviews into me shortly. The intent is to get this wrapped up by, the next meeting, quite honestly. Or was it, what are your...
April 22nd is when John will be back.
All right, okay, great. So we got some time, don't forget it. But I'd like to get it within the next week or 2, in case there's any clarification needed. Get them into me, I'll work with Susan to, if you can't get it to me, I'll shoot to her. It's easy for you to stop here. We'll coordinate and review and discuss. Mr. Young, is there any new news on the Perry Street settlement with Water Resource Commission?
I'm supposed to hear this week.
Okay.
I touched base with them last week. They said they would get something to me this week.
Okay. That's it for me. Mr. Young, you have a report you'd like to review?
Yes, I have 3 quick things, if I might.
Sure.
One, we are looking to hire lifeguards for this season, and they start out at $10 an hour. If anyone's interested, we have opportunities here to help out with the summer and get a great experience. So we've got those jobs open right now. We also will be starting spring leaf pickup again, starting the let's see, April 8th. So a week from 2 weeks from today. And it will end through April 26th. So you got 2 or 3 weeks to get all your leaves put together, and we'll come by and pick them up. Or otherwise, you can bag them, and I think GFL will start picking up soon as well. This week they start.
Today they started.
They started picking up leaves and bags today. And then the last thing, I just want to mention that we do have for bid a 2013 Ford Interceptor, which is the former police car out there. It's got 80,000 miles, 2013. The bids are due this Thursday at 3 o'clock. So the car's out there to take a look at.
How do you bid on it, sir?
Silent bid. It's you turn your bid in, sealed bid in.
Here at the Village Hall?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have for now.
Okay. And entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll support. All those in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.